Hey friends, welcome back. I'm excited to have you here. Can anyone else believe that it's already November? I look forward to Thanksgiving. We have a trip later on this month. We have a lot going on, so I'm really looking forward to the holidays and all the busyness that it brings. I also love November because it is the month in which we bring awareness to the orphan crisis across the world. It's known as Orphan Sunday, which is actually the first Sunday of every November, which for us happens to be tomorrow. And our family just takes great responsibility in bringing awareness to adoption, bringing awareness to the orphan crisis, and how impactful one yes is on one orphan's life. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. I do have some very exciting news that I'm going to share with y'all at the end of the vlog. So if you have been following our current adoption journey, you definitely will want to tune in. So the idea for this vlog, I really wanted to do something in honor of Orphan Sunday, but I couldn't quite figure out what I wanted to do. And so yesterday morning, and I'm going to get emotional multiple times during this vlog, it's just the norm, okay? But yesterday morning, little Isabel woke me up very early, and so I got up very early before everyone else yesterday morning and realized that over on Facebook, I had a lot of unread messages that went to my spam folder, and it's just from the past months and months and months, and I feel so bad because I'm one who likes to respond to people's messages. And these poor people thought that I was ignoring them. So if you were one of them, I'm very sorry. But I opened up that spam folder to multiple messages of families inquiring about adoption, maybe how they've been watching our YouTube channel and it's really encouraged them and inspired them. Maybe they had questions about an adoption journey because they are thinking about possibly adding to their family through adoption. And I just became very emotional. I don't even know why. I think just a lot going on in life, but reading those messages and I think it's just knowing that our YouTube channel is not in vain and that our YouTube channel and what we're sharing on here is truly impacting others. And that is really why we set out to do it. And so I think that is probably why I was somewhat emotional reading those messages, because number one, they were asking about adoption, which obviously is a huge part of our family that we're very passionate about. And just to know that what we're saying is being heard, and that just really, it just resonated with me. I don't know. So I got to thinking about what can I do for this vlog. But I really just wanted to give a voice to so many of the adoptive families that I have come to know through social media, and I just really wanted to give them a voice. And I wanted y'all to hear just some of their thoughts on adoption and some of their thoughts on what their journey has been like. And so over on Facebook, I asked a lot of families, if you could get on a mountaintop and say something to the world about adoption, about your journey, to encourage others, to bring awareness, whatever it is, your fears, whatever it is, tell me what you would want to say. And so I'm literally just going to sit here and look at my laptop, and I'm going to read to you a lot of things that fellow adoptive families have to say. And I'm going to share a picture of the family so that you know who I'm talking about. And that's really what we're just going to do today. So we're just going to jump right into it. And like I said a while ago, at the end of the vlog, I will tell you our exciting news that we received. So let's get to it. Okay, I'm going to do my very best to not only be looking at my laptop, but to be giving y'all eye contact too. So bear with me as I kind of work through this. First up is from Michelle, and she said, I didn't realize how much of an idol comfort was to me until we adopted. Losing the comfort and the easy was devastating at first, but God has refined us through adoption, and all the pain was so worth it. Our daughter has a lot of needs, but I would choose her again every single day. Jackie is my friend who brought home her little girl 6 months ago from India. She is a single parent. and she is just doing an amazing job. But Jackie said, the heart of adoption doesn't stop when you finally bring your kiddo home. You still need support from your friends and family, as well as something you use for self-care and replenishment. Don't set expectations of yourself or your kiddo. If I have learned anything in 6 months, it's that the highs are amazing, but the lows follow quickly and can be debilitating emotionally and physically. Give yourself and your new one some grace. Little expectations lead to less letdown and more thrilling moments of growth. I could not agree with that anymore. Maria, we are matched with a little girl. I'm going to cry. She said, I did not know you could love someone so deeply without even meeting them. It's painful and at the same time beautiful. Adoption has me on my knees daily. It has put me in a place where I can only trust in the Lord. Amen. My friend Angela, adoption is hard, and she capitalized hard with an exclamation point. Your marriage needs to be strong. And that, I believe, is one thing that may not be spoken about very much when families are looking to adopt. You do have to have a strong marriage, because especially dealing with special needs, it can bring a whole new level of stress and strain to your household and into your marriage. And so that is definitely something that you and your spouse have to talk about and have to plan for, and have to really acknowledge day to day. How are we doing? How is our marriage doing? Are we communicating? Are we letting the stressors of life get in the way? I know that we have been there, we have done that, and of course you're going to have good seasons and maybe not so good seasons, but that's very, very good advice. Angela said, it can take a long time for the bonding process to take root. It isn't always the fairy tale love at first sight feeling, and that is okay. With love and commitment, bonding happens in its own time. Tiffany said, you don't have to win the lottery to adopt. You don't have to be rich to adopt. Just adopt. The financial aspect will fall into place. One of the biggest driving factors in our adoption was where God guides, He provides. Ready for God to guide again. A year ago today, we were headed to India to pick up our Ashwini Piper May. Lindsay said, we all have excuses not to adopt, but when our excuse to adopt becomes greater is when God really works. I will never believe someone who says they can't afford to adopt. That's just not possible. Wendy's comment was very simple but very profound. She said, a walk with the Holy Spirit. Adoption for us has become less about the orphan and less about us and less about really any of the moving parts in the adoption journey. And it's more about pursuing Christ and pursuing who He is and how we can live a life that points to Him. Elizabeth said, adoption is not something you talk your spouse into. Pray for them, yes. Speak openly and honestly about it, yes. But adoption isn't easy, and I wouldn't venture to say you should both be all in before stepping out in faith. I should include that I prayed for my husband for 4 years before he suddenly one night wanted to start an application, and he was the calm and steady one as we walked through the process. I'm just crying because I'm just like, God always hears your prayers, y'all. 4 years later, just crazy. It took a while for him to get there, but when he did, he never wavered. I don't know. He never wavered, and I couldn't have been more grateful for his strength in the process. He pays for that which He orders, meaning if the Lord calls you to adopt, He will be faithful to provide. That doesn't mean it won't take effort on your part, but with our family income or financial background, we had no money set aside to begin the process. But slowly and steadily, the Lord provided every bit of it. On this same note, we have found through the process and afterwards that there is so much joy in giving towards an adoption, and people want to help. It takes a big dose of humility to receive, but goodness, it was such a beautiful thing to witness people rallying to help us get our son home. Adoption is a leap of faith in every way, and prayer is huge. Leslie said, "We need support. Yes, we choose this. We aren't any more special than you or any more holy than you. We are human too. Know my kids' names. Pray for them and pray for us as parents." Kelly said, "Adoption is not for the faint of heart. Parenting adopted children is very different from biological kids. The trauma is deep and they may never heal." Lisa, a very seasoned adoptive mother, she said, "A medical condition can sound so incredibly scary on paper, but then you meet your child and you realize that even though the unknowns of that medical condition are scary, the thought that you might have said no is even scarier, because that medical condition doesn't define your child, and it certainly doesn't change the vastness of your love for him or her." Such wise words. Here's another one that just had a very simple statement. Allison said, "It was never about you." And that is so true. You can really get into the adoption process and make it all about yourself, right? And at the end of the day, it's just not about you. Jocelyn said, "The understanding of unconditional love. God loved us in our mess and didn't ask what our needs were first, but instead chose to love us oh so radically, knowing we didn't have it all together." Yes, walking through the process of building trust and attachment as well as medical difficulties is not glamorous, but at the end of the day, worth it. Walking through every struggle and difficulty alongside my daughter is a sweet reminder to me every day that Jesus chooses to walk with me and stays despite my flaws. It's so much bigger than us. Tegan said, "Adoption is hard and the process is long, but it's so worth it in the end. These children need a yes. We are in the process of our second adoption, and we don't have the funds just laying around, but we have the love, room, and means to raise and support more children, so we will do what God needs us to do and what these children need us to do. Adoption made us a family. We will forever be grateful." Rachel said, "Adoption always comes with loss. It's our job to help our kids process their grief and work on healing. We must meet them where they are at and also realize that their grief will likely always be something that they carry." The next one is from Allison, and she is actually in the process of adopting a little one from China right now, and she's in the same boat as us. Not quite sure when any of us will get to travel and bring our kids home. But Allison said, "Adoption is not glorious, magic-filled scene like they portray in movies. It's not a fantasy of saving a child. The child is not lucky to find a family. The reality is, adoption is a literal labor of love, laboring over the everlasting effects of trauma and grief, laboring over the developmental delays that all orphan children experience, laboring through the complexities of identity and belonging. Even through all of the laboring, it has been the best yes of our lives, and we are honored to answer the call to adopt." The next comment is from our best friends Jennifer and Brandon Abels. They are also in the process of bringing a little girl home from China, and they have been waiting a very long time. Jennifer says, "You have to trust. Trust that God will provide spiritually, financially, and emotionally. Be bold in your faith, no matter what others think or say about you. See it as a door to discuss your faith and your adoption process. Your reason? Jesus. We live comfortable lives. I didn't realize this until we started the adoption process. Pray a lot, especially now while we're waiting for China to open so we can bring our daughter home." Very wise words. Aloha said, "Things to not say to a struggling adoptive parent. You chose this. There are people actually out there who will comment back to adoptive families and almost just like, quit complaining, quit telling me your struggles. You chose this, so now you need to like put your big girl panties on and do it. And what I would like to say back is, you know, these orphans, they didn't choose to be orphaned. So someone has to step up. And if you're not going to step up and you're going to be snarky with the people who are stepping up, shame on you. Shame on you. Crazy. I'm just blown away. So my friend Angie, she shared a lot with me. She was very real and very vulnerable, and I know a lot of people probably wouldn't say what she's going to say, but I really admire her for speaking up because it's the absolute truth. So she said, there are days I wish I had never adopted. I hate to say it, I hate to admit it, but it's true. I wish we just stopped with our third bio kid, but then I would have missed out on being part of the miracle God is working out in two precious children's lives. Watching them grow into love and accept us as we love and accept them has been the most rewarding part of it all. But it's hard. Even when you think it can't get any harder, something will happen and it's just plain hard. It's not for the weak at heart. God will stretch you and pull you until you feel like you will snap. But it is worth it? Absolutely yes. My friend Carrie Ann, she said, get help. Reach out for help. Pay for help. Do not go at this alone. I absolutely agree with Carrie Ann. Getting help is essential. I'm going to share a couple sentences of what Yvonne said. She said, there's nothing in the world like walking out of an orphanage with a child in your arms. I think of adoption like a marriage. You make promises and then you are committed for life. My friend Ashley, she said something that I really liked. She said, adoption is more about our sanctification than anything else. She calls it holy sandpaper, and I totally agree. Melody said, each adoption is different. With typical kids, the give and take changes as they get older. You will always outgive your kids, but with special needs kids, you may give forever. This is tiring and it's holy work, but they are worth it. The next comment is from Rebecca, and I actually spoke with her privately, and she has brought in some kids with some severe trauma, and she was just telling me her story, and it's just heartbreaking, but I admire her so much. She said, love isn't always enough. Trauma is hard. Bonding does not always occur. Mental illness in children is a real thing. No one prepares you for the possibility of your child needing to go to a psych facility for an extended stay. Adoption does not fix a child. Every child that is adopted struggles with a variety of issues. There are no what to expect books when your child has multiple extreme mental health issues or undiagnosable genetic abnormalities. Cynthia, she said, adoption will bring both you to your knees in desperation and tears before God, and also kindle a desire for Him to use you again. Despite all the hard and the pain and the messiness, adoption is also a front row seat to miracles and redemption. And that is so true. Jody, she's another one that got very vulnerable, and I really admire her for this. She said, our friends our age are preparing to retire and have empty nest. They take wonderful vacations and live a life different than ours. There are times I grieve my old life or what my future could have been had we not adopted. And I have learned to recognize those feelings and that they are okay. I allow myself to feel them and not feel guilty for them, and then I move on. It's kind of a healthy cleanse. I love and cherish the two children we have adopted and the life we have built for them. I wouldn't change it for the world. There are just sometimes it is harder than others to accept our new normal. I've learned to be honest about that, not to feel guilty about it, and that my feelings too are very valid. Charity said, adoption is hard and messy. There will be long-lasting, heart-wrenching behaviors that will absolutely bring you to your knees. There is loss, trauma, and grief that is intricately woven together with beauty and hope. The thing is, the parents in the throes of raising these treasures are the ones lining up to do it again. I think we only have about 2 or 3 more, guys. My friend Katie, she is so precious. She adopted a little girl from the Philippines, and she's been home for 2 or 3 years, and they're actually in the process of adopting another little girl from the Philippines as well. And I love what she wrote here. She said, "It's terrifying. We aren't any more brave or more full of faith or better humans than anyone else. We just walk, put one foot in front of the other. I still lay in bed at night and battle 1,000 fears, second guess my decisions, wonder what our family will do. Adoption is like walking on a tightrope between 2 mountain peaks in the fog, blindfolded while throwing up." It's amazing. It's an indescribable feeling, and while that feeling still lingers, the closer I get to my daughter, the more the heart begins to enter into this process of morphing, writhing, longing, screaming to get her to, even though there's fear on both sides of the ditches. The paperwork is outlandish. No, it's unbelievable. It's a part-time job. It requires childcare, meal support, time off from day jobs, supplies, money, sacrifice, etc. It's an undertaking that has no end until a year after the child is in your arms, and then takes another few years to forget so that PTSD doesn't take hold. Just in time for you to do it again, because there's a deep undercurrent drawing that pulls you back again like the depths of a dark river that is 1,000,000 miles in depth. Please know the best of intentions type of people will say some of the most hurtful words imaginable. Stop saying or implying this child is not my own. The unseen grafting that takes place in adoption is something that is absolutely just as strong and painful as biological bonds. And this child is mine more than any child on the planet will ever be. Adoptive parents need support all the time, anytime, for the rest of their entire lives. Major support. Don't look at my child and expect her to be or act like the average child in every way. Don't judge me when it looks like I'm catering or spoiling. You have no idea the half of what my child has been through or why I'm not handling this the way that you would. Seek to understand and not to judge. You might learn a thing or two. The money will come. It's out there. Just ask for it. Stop making that excuse. Just stop. Don't adopt if you and your spouse are unsure, if one is more confident than the other, or the other children aren't on board with informed consent on the reality of what it means. These children are hurt and traumatized enough. Yes, they need homes and families, but good Lord, you need to be ready to gird up your loins and seriously lay down your life for your child. There's sacrifices that need to be made to help that child adjust to your family. Things will be upside down for a while and nothing will be normal. Prepare for this and don't walk blindly into it. I know that was a lot to process. Absolutely, it was a lot of information, but it was such good information. And I'm just praying that, whoever the Lord needs to see this video, whatever words were spoken in this video, that it encourages someone to say yes to adoption. It impresses upon them that it's okay to not have all the answers and to be scared to say yes to adoption. But as you can tell, over and over and over, through the hardships, through the trauma, through everything that you kind of experience as you're bringing home a child, it is so worth it. And I guarantee you ask every single one of these ladies who shared with us, they would adopt again, and again. Okay, so on to our kind of exciting news. No, we're not traveling yet. I wish we were. We did receive a message, I guess about a week and a half ago, that our sweet Lily Grace was returned to Eagle's Wings. They sent me a picture of her. She's smiling, she looks good, and she is back home where she belongs. And all the staff were so excited to see her and the other 4 kids returned back to Eagle's Wings. We do not know where they went. All they say is to a therapy facility, and it appears that Eagle's Wings doesn't know which facility that was or why they were taken or anything like that. Yes, Lily Grace has some deformities and things, but since she's been at Eagle's Wings, I mean, they have worked so much with her. Physically, she's doing amazing. But we are just so excited to see that she's back at Eagle's Wings, and they are taking great care of her. And I mean, I just cannot wait to get my hands on her. And once again, I mean, I've said it before, while I get frustrated when I watch the news, read the news, read about what travel could look like when we finally can go over there to bring her home, it can start bringing on some anxiety and anger and frustration. But I don't allow myself to sit in it, and honestly, if it's on the news, I turn it off. If it's an article that comes across my feed on social media, I don't pour any time or effort into it, because I know that even when it just doesn't look pretty and it just doesn't look good, our world is just a scary place right now, right? I know beyond a shadow of the doubt that the Lord is working, and that in His timing, she will come home, and all of these kids will come home. And so that's just really what I rest in. And again, you know, just looking back, like, I'm so thankful, and I'm sure there was great reason to it, that we have experienced this on our third adoption. There are a lot of families who are experiencing this extreme long wait due to the pandemic, and it's their first adoption. I remember how we were with Mikaela's adoption, like just stomaching knots day to day, checking email, waiting, thinking things would go faster, but then they're really not going to go faster. We just learned a lot through our past two adoptions, and knowing that even when we don't feel like we can see the Lord working, I promise you He is working. And so we really have carried so much peace and knowledge into this third adoption, just knowing and resting that God is there, and He hasn't forgotten about us, and He hasn't, you know, He didn't bring us to this point to just leave us and abandon us, and His will be done. So that's what we're clinging to. That's it, guys. Thank y'all so much for joining us. Thank you all for your support and love and prayers as we're walking out this very long, lengthy adoption process. She'll be in our arms soon enough. So we're going to close it out here, and we will see y'all next time. Bye.